Time shared on the water with friends and family can create memories that last a lifetime. Whether you're in the captain's seat or riding behind the boat, these experiences can open new doors that will help you make the most out of every summer. I'm Dylan.
And I'm Carro. Together, we're going to walk you through the basics of towed water sports to help you unlock a new level of confidence, so you can make the most of every minute on the water and go boldly into each adventure that comes your way.
Driving the boat for towed water sports can be another fun part of the experience, which is why you'll almost always see one of us in the captain's chair when we're not riding behind the boat.
It's something we both really enjoy, and we also realize it's a great responsibility. The countless hours we've spent in and behind the boat throughout our careers as professional wakeboarders have made a huge contribution to our knowledge of how to drive the boat.
Now we'd like to share this knowledge with you in hopes of making the driving experience more enjoyable for you, the rider, and everyone else aboard.
Here's a checklist of things we recommend going through before every session. Do you have the lanyard for the emergency engine cutoff switch securely attached to yourself? Does the person you're towing have proper safety gear? Are you operating the boat in an approved area? Are both the seat and the steering wheel in a comfortable position? Does the boat have a rearview mirror? If so, is it positioned correctly for you? Have you designated a reliable spotter who will promptly relay information? Does the boat have cruise control or similar technology such as Mercury Smart Tow? If so, do you know how to operate it? Do you, the spotter, and the rider know basic hand signals like slow down, speed up, stop, turn around, and OK?
Even if you're an experienced boat driver, it's always a good idea to familiarize yourself with the helm before towing someone behind a boat you've never driven. Some throttles are much more sensitive than others, and the way they handle can be vastly different.
After the rider enters the water and has the handle in hand, make sure they're a safe distance from the boat, roughly 10 feet. Then start the engine.
Now would be a great time to enable a Mercury Smart Tow system if the boat is equipped with it. This system is similar to cruise control in a car and holds the boat at a speed you choose. Smart Tow also controls launch speed based on defined profiles for consistent starts.
Before you start to pull away from the rider, make sure they have the handle in hand. Be conscious of how fast you're moving and make sure the rider stays clear of the rope. Some boats idle faster than others, so you may need to shift the throttle in and out of gear a few times as the rope tightens to avoid an abrupt pull. You'll need to be proactive at this step because the boat will continue to move forward even though it's in neutral. Keep in mind that both wind and waves can affect the boat's handling, especially at slow speeds.
When you've pulled away from the rider and they're ready to go, make sure everyone is seated properly and that there's no slack in the rope before you begin accelerating. The rate at which you accelerate will vary based on the rider's size. Larger riders may require a bit more throttle to get up, while smaller riders may require a slower start. If you're using Smart Tow, eventually you'll find the right preset launch profile for each rider and nail it every time.
Always pick the direction you'd like to drive before taking off, and make sure to remain in designated areas. Once you get the boat on plane, both the driver and spotter should watch for hazards and other vessels on the water while also making sure your passengers remain seated.
Now pick a line. I always try to find a landmark on a distant shoreline to use as a reference point. This will help you travel in a straight line, which helps keep the weight consistent and creates a better experience for the person you're towing.
If you need to turn and head back the opposite direction, there's a great technique to help avoid a rough ride for the people in the boat and the person being towed.
Before you start the turn, make sure you're a safe distance away from all other vessels or other hazards on the water. And don't forget to let the rider know you're about to turn around using a hand signal.
Begin your turn by driving at a 45-degree angle left or right. Hold that line for roughly 10 seconds. That should give you enough room to then complete the turn and re-enter the path you came from.
Going back and forth in the same line takes up less space on the lake and helps create a safer experience for your passengers and everyone else on the water. If the rider falls, gradually pull the throttle back and let the boat return to idle speed. Then turn the steering wheel all the way in the direction you'd like to turn while leaving the boat in gear. Once the boat is pointed back at the rider, head toward them but keep your speed at or lower than 5 miles per hour. Moving at a lower speed has many benefits when picking up a fallen rider. It creates fewer waves, the ride is smoother for passengers, water conditions are better for the rider, and it could save you some money on fuel.
As you approach, slow down to idle speed and always keep the rider to the starboard or the right side of the boat while staying at least 10 feet away. This will ensure you can always see them from the driver's seat.
Right after you pass them, turn the steering wheel to the right while shifting the boat in and out of gear until they have the rope in hand. After that, slowly idle until the rope is tight while making sure the rider isn't getting tangled. Now, when the rope is tight, you can repeat the steps we mentioned earlier to get the rider back up on the water. Remember, if you're ever too close to the rider or something goes wrong, don't panic. Pull the engine cutoff switch lanyard to stop the engine. Then assess the situation.
Driving for towed water sports is a responsibility that should never be taken lightly. But don't let that discourage you. Just make sure you're always paying attention to changing conditions while also keeping a close eye on the rider.
We hope this video helps you feel more confident behind the wheel, or better yet, inspires you to tow a rider for the first time.
Plus, helping your friends and family have a great time on the water is very rewarding.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Boating Basics, presented by Mercury Marine.